This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to the post-apocalypse. That's what I'm hearing anyway. Anyway,
world's still spinning?
Yeah, but it was kind of a weird day here in Pittsburgh, Matt. He's Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. This is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. But the weather today was overcast. It's windy, but
still
it was
kind of warm.
But it was like 75, 80, degrees. It wasn't cold and windy like you would expect in a November day. And I'm walking around going, I wore longer sleeve shirts today.
I put jeans on today.
Yeah, you have pants on. That never happens.
Right.
Even the no pants stance all year round. And I'm like walking around. I'm like, it's kind of like I don't know what kind of a late spring day. More than anything else.
I think the world's just mad, too. Like, on the way here, I have a 15-minute ride. I saw 2 road rage incidents between here and there, yelling at each other.
Everybody stayed up late last night to watch the election results. I don't know.
Trade deadline.
Yeah,
that's
trade deadline. That's what it was. But that was done by 4 o'clock. We have injury reports.
Nice. Here we go. Let's dig right in.
Here we go. Let's jump into this. The Steelers injury report looks pretty darn good, Matt.
Really?
So if you're looking at this from a participation standpoint, Justin Fields with that hamstring injury, full participant.
So he'll be the 2, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, good.
They opened the window on Ben Skowronek.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
For his 21-day window. He had a shoulder injury. He was a full participant.
Okay. He's goner. I mean, I don't think the Mike Williams stuff changes his life all that much.
No, but he's also
there's only so many hats to give out.
I mean, he's had some stuff where he's done things over the years here. He's a bigger size.
You're talking about offense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
When he was at the Rams, there were big games where he was.
He's Michelob Ultra Cooper Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrell Edmonds did not practice. He was dealing with an illness. Tyler Matakevich with that hamstring injury. He's still in the window, the 21-day window.
Mm-hmm. That's been open, though, right?
Yeah, he was a full participant today. That was open last week.
That could be some serious special teams help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nick Herbig, a limited participant today with that hamstring, so he's at least trending in the right direction.
Good.
Zach Frazier with the ankle injury, a full participant. How about that?
Yeah.
Isaac Seumalo got his normal day off on Wednesday. And Cordero Patterson with that ankle injury, a full participant.
Okay. So I guess there's no designation for Sutton. You don't have to do anything. He
practiced,
out there being like everybody else.
He has no injury designation.
Okay. And what about, and I guess the new guys are here.
Have no injury designation. Or they would
no
be
injury
on there.
designation. They're here. They're part of the team and ready to rock. Okay.
Why do we bring that up? Because looking at Washington's side of things.
Yeah, you said this. This is weird.
Marshawn Lattimore, who they just traded for yesterday, did not practice today because he's dealing with a hamstring injury.
Did he pull it walking through the airport?
I think he missed. Did he miss their game last week? I think he might have.
Oh, I don't know.
So they
tried to not watch that game.
Yeah, well, they traded for a guy who has a hamstring injury. He's definitely not playing. He's not playing this week.
You don't think? Yeah,
I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, it's so easy just to think you plug these guys in, but you laid it out. I mean, if you're not even practicing on Wednesday, and you just arrived, and you might have a hamstring.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a rental for this year, so they're probably they probably knew all this and just thought he's a nice addition to our football team for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zach Ertz got a rest day, did not participate today. They're tight end.
I'm sure that's not uncommon for him.
Offensive tackle Cornelius Lucas, one of my favorite names in the
good one.
Yeah.
Starter.
He's just starting left tackle?
Yes.
Yes. He has an ankle injury. He did not practice today. Kicker Austin Seibert with a right hip injury did not practice today.
That's something.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the most field goals on the planet right now.
Yes. Defensive end Dorrance Armstrong has a shoulder.
They really like him.
Yeah.
He's a Dallas carryover, with the defensive coordinator turned head coach.
Tyler Biadasz, limited with a thumb injury.
Okay. Wonder if that's snapping hand or not.
I don't know.
That would be a big deal.
Clellan Ferrell, limited with a knee injury.
He's revitalized his career a little bit, too. He's never going to live up to being a top 6 pick or whatever, but...
That was the Raiders' fault.
Yeah.
Outside linebacker Dante Fowler has a groin injury. He was limited.
That's their top 3 pass rushers.
Yeah.
I mean, edge rushers,
Running back Brian Robinson with that hamstring injury was limited.
Okay. I guess that's good news for him if he didn't play.
Tackle Andrew Wiley with a shoulder injury.
That's the right tackle.
Was limited. Both tackles banged
Both
up.
tackles, 3 defensive ends. Okay.
Cornerback Noah, and I can't even begin to pronounce your name.
Igabagabugabaga. Yeah. Dolphins first round pick a couple years ago. Yeah.
He has a thumb injury. He was a full participant. And defensive tackle Fedarian Mathis, full participant. They list him as a game day CPE. I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
CPE. I'm sure it means something. We probably have somebody who has a medical background out there screaming at the. Is that
yeah? I've never seen that though.
Concussion or I don't know what. Let me fire up the Google machine.
PE could be personal or emergency. I'm thinking like something off the field. I don't know.
CPE can refer to continuing professional education. I don't believe it's that.
I don't think he's got a test tonight or
clinical pastoral education.
Probably not.
Probably not that one either.
I could come up with something
could
dirty.
It be this one?
Right?
Canine performance events.
That could take precedent. I mean, that's kind of like jury duty.
Those are the first things that show up for CPE. I'm guessing it's none of those.
I'm scanning my brain of what I would think it is.
I don't know. I bet
at the break somebody will enlighten us.
Yeah, game day CPE. I don't know. Platform enumeration? Common platform? No, it can't be that either.
I wouldn't think so. Huh. I can't stop thinking about that now. We should definitely move on, but I don't want to.
We can have fun with that all day long.
Oh, the P has all kinds of fun, yeah.
Clinical game day CPE. I don't know.
Crooked P E. Shouldn't change your game day situation.
Oh, that was Matt Williamson. That was not Dale Lolley. That was yeah, I don't know.
He
was a full participant today anyways.
I guess it's not too bad, whatever it is. Maybe there's like something that's going to come. That's what I mean. Like they know it's coming on Sunday. Didn't it say game day?
It said game day CPE. I don't know if he did.
He could practice all week, and then there's something looming that
maybe
day.
Concussion, physical protocol evaluation, something like that.
That has to be it. Concussion protocol evaluation.
I think that's probably more closer to it than canine performance enhancement,
right?
Or
continuing education, whatever, something. Anywho,
I knew we would figure it out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
We'd get there. But yeah, it's interesting.
Probably on their website. I mean, I would
they
imagine.
might list it as CPE. That was directly from Washington. That's what they sent out in their email to me.
Okay.
CPE.
I'm thinking concussion protocol
Gotta
evaluation
be something.
like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Examination.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't care if Fedarian Mathis plays. Like,
I prefer he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
you actually
good.
were talking about him today. He's their nose. Doesn't play a ton, but he's not good.
I would force the action and make him play a ton.
Yeah. Especially with his CPE.
Yeah. I'd go a lot of 12 and 13 packages in this particular game.
If you can keep him on the field.
And force them to play him.
Against Frazier.
Yeah.
Right up the middle. Right.
Yep. And then that allows you then to get guys maybe free to Bobby Wagner and run the football. And
however, when we had that discussion earlier today, that was for the video we do tomorrow, that was with the assumption that Lattimore might be playing.
I've never thought that Lattimore was going to be a full-time player.
You've kind of been saying that since the trade.
Like, I could see him playing on nickel and dime, but I just think that
I just think their secondary depth isn't great either if he's not in the equation. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to go 11 or...
Here's what Mike Tomlin said about the acquisitions they made yesterday, and I completely agree with this. He's like, look, we didn't make this trade for the short term.
Yeah.
Meaning this week. We made this trade because these guys are going to help us down the road.
So you saw both human beings today. I don't think it's an accident that they're both
massive
for their positions. You know, like you got the Ravens, you got 6 AFC North games coming up here. You got the Chiefs, you got the Eagles. You know, you hope to have playoffs, likely have playoffs.
Yeah.
Physicality and size, and the weather's going to change. I mean, like, I don't think that was an accident that these two kind of are almost the same exact outlier for their respective position.
They're both big for their age.
Yeah, they sure are. And thick and powerful and right, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and I thought that was the way to approach this. Look, you're not going to rush these guys into the lineup. You're 6-2 without these guys. Washington is 7-2 without Marshawn Lattimore.
And you're getting stuff back from the bye.
Yeah.
You know, here's Sutton, here's Frazier, here's Herbig maybe. You know what I mean? Like, you're already getting an influx of new guys.
So if Mike Williams and Preston Smith play this weekend, and Preston Smith would probably be more likely to play in the role that he's going to be moving forward. Like, he can play 10 snaps for you right now.
And if Herbig can't go, I think it's pretty certain that Smith will.
Yeah.
You know, he probably dresses either way.
Right.
You know.
But, you know, if we saw it with Deontay Johnson last week. The Ravens went out and acquired Deontay Johnson. I think he played 15 snaps.
Amari Cooper's first game, he got hurt, but I mean, his first game, he said, "I didn't know anything." You know, he just flat out said it, like, "I didn't know the playbook."
He's a 10-year veteran.
Yeah,
you know, it's not like
he ran 15 routes his first time.
They didn't reinvent football while he was making the drive from Cleveland to Buffalo.
Why there didn't used to be trades in this league? It's hard.
Yeah.
Again, it's not like sticking a right fielder in there and hitting him fifth in the lineup. You know.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. I had to laugh. And I'm not calling out any other reporters or anything like that, but there was some interviews this morning in the Steelers locker room. Pat Freiermuth talked to, and somebody asked him, does this show you the team's really, they're all in this season. Omar Khan's going for it. Like, this isn't hockey.
Yeah, right.
This isn't baseball that we made trade deadline deals. That means they're going for it. No, that's not what this means at all. The Dallas Cowboys made a trade.
Right. I mean, and
that doesn't mean they're going for it.
It's not like we traded our whole draft for Ricky Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, or pushed all of our resources in just for now. No, I mean, they're just adding stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And I thought Freiermuth was pretty. He said, "Look, no, we've been going for it all season long."
I was gonna say, I bet that was his answer.
Yeah.
It's not like, I don't think the front office hasn't done their best for us at any other time. Right.
Yeah, we didn't just, and I know nationally some of the perception of the Steelers, and even somewhat locally, if you listen to that other station in town, was that the Steelers weren't going to be any good this year. Well, they're 7 wins, 8 wins, somewhere in there. I've never felt that way about this team from what Omar Khan acquired this offseason.
Yeah.
No, I think those people were being short-sighted with everything.
It's going to be a terrible year, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No. I mean, I was saying 10 or 11 wins from the beginning of the season. Like, this is a good roster. I've been around this for a long time. I can recognize a good roster versus a not-so-good roster. There were times I can remember when it was time to cut down to 53 guys, and I'm like, I got like 42 that you want to keep,
Yeah.
Beyond that, then you're just kind of shuffling chairs around.
Not all that great, yeah.
Yeah.
And even like Washington, like their over-under win total was 6.5 in Vegas.
Yeah.
They're up to 7 already.
They've already surpassed that.
Clearly outkicked their coverage. It's an unbelievably successful year. But the acquisition they made, as you mentioned, it's not short-term fix, how do I beat the Steelers on Sunday? It's we need an outside corner for the next couple of years, and he's available on an ailing team. Let's go get him.
And how can we in December and January be a better football team?
Sure.
We've put ourselves in this position now doing what we've done. How can we be better moving forward?
Yeah, he's going to get Neighbors. He's going to get A.J. Brown. He's going to get Lamb, in the division. Or, you're probably going to be a playoff team. Is that going to be Justin Jefferson? He's going to be very useful.
The bad thing about Marshawn Lattimore getting traded, though, away from New Orleans is we won't get to see the twice annual
Mike Evans
battles with him just beating the crap out of each other. Literally.
It's a good one. Yeah. it's an all-timer, twice a year.
Mike Evans is going, oh, man. I owe him one.
It's like if the Joker retired or something. Right?
It's like Lego Batman.
Yeah.
The Joker completes him, and Batman doesn't want to admit it. And,
that's what I mean. Like, Batman, what do I do now?
Yes, folks, I've seen Lego Batman way too many times.
I actually haven't, but I figured it can't be much different than real Batman.
It's
kind of completed him, right?
Different. It's actually not a bad movie.
It's actually pretty funny, from what I understand.
Yeah. So go ahead and watch that one. But so they acquired these guys again, not for this week, maybe for next week against the Ravens.
Oh, I would think they're ready to go.
They should be ready to do some things by then.
Sure.
Maybe when you play the Ravens later in the season. Again, we've talked, like the Steelers have.
Well, I think they have the Ravens in mind with
they have
these acquisitions.
2 different sets of games here where they play like 3 games in 11 days in this second half.
You're going to need depth. You're going to need.
Your depth is going to be tested.
Yeah, you're going to get tested. And unfortunately, there'll be a couple guys that are going to fall during those 3. Or, you have to. It's better than calling the dude off the couch like at the end of last year, right?
Like you would feel better, and you don't want this to happen, but if T.J. Watt, God forbid, had to miss a game.
Right. You're in much better shape now than you were
Alex
2 days
Highsmith
ago.
and Preston Smith, you're like, all right, we'll be all right.
Yeah, Herbig, right.
Or if, Highsmith gets hurt again. All right, we got Watt and Preston Smith.
And
all right.
As pressing is, what if Pickens gets hurt? I mean, everyone's had that conversation during this whole wide receiver saga.
What we've talked about the whole time.
Months, right?
Yeah.
you're in a little bit better shape. You know?
Yeah, you've got a guy who can and has been in the past a number one. Has been a number
He's
one.
done
target
that
on his
type of
team.
thing. Yeah, right.
So just changes the dynamic a little bit.
And everyone listening, and myself included, I can't wait to see them on the field and what they're going to do. But it's going to be like preseason to be underwhelming. You know what I mean? Like, you'll be looking forward to it, but ease into it.
Yeah.
You know?
The interesting thing is, and I thought of this today when we were talking to Mike Williams, and we'll hear from Mike Williams later in the show.
Cool. Yeah.
He's coming from the Jets, where Van Jefferson's dad is the position
okay.
coach.
Okay, that was his dad's coach. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic there. We actually have Van Jefferson joining us on the show tomorrow at 5:15, right around there. So we'll ask Van about that.
There's so many weird carryovers between this game, by the way. You know, like we were on a call today with the Steelers, and someone's like, didn't that used to be FedEx Field? Like, Arthur Smith's dad basically owned the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He bought the naming rights of the field, yes.
I mean, Arthur Smith and their current head coach were both head coaches in Atlanta. Like, there's a lot of things like that in this game. It's kind of interesting.
And actually, if you watch the Tom Hanks movie,
Big Philadelphia.
No, the one on the island.
Yeah.
Castaway. Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. If you watch that one, and I've
Lego Batman though.
I've wanted to ask Arthur Smith. I get that one. I wanted to ask Arthur Smith this because at the end of the movie, in that when he comes back,
all the FedEx stuff, yeah.
They have a press conference, and the guy who steps up to the microphone, his name is something Smith, and I don't know if that's if it's Arthur's dad or brother. I assume it would be like a brother.
Okay.
I don't know if that's one of his brothers who's actually doing it, or they got an actor to play the brother.
That's a great question.
I'm gonna
know that answer.
I wanted to ask him that at this year's training camp this year. I didn't get. I don't want to ask that in a press conference.
Yeah,
it's kind of just a silly aside to something I want to know.
I mean, like a typical viewer, I would have never put two and two together watching Castaway that it was a Smith that even went up there. You know what I mean?
I can't remember if they announced the name or if they had like a
I
little
know the scene you're
chyron
talking
for
about.
it.
Like,
yeah,
he's picking up the crab. Like, this would have been useful. They were throwing it all away. You know, right?
Yeah, that's what I want. I want more crab. Give me some more crab.
Right. He picks up the lighter. Like, yeah.
Anyways,
Married to a volleyball.
Yeah. Then he lost it. Wilson. We got to get to a break.
All right.
He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. When we come back, we're going to be joined by the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in His Fears, Bob Labriola. We'll ask him about what he thought of the Steelers, what they did on trade deadline day. We'll do that when we return right after this on The Drive. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And we're joined now by our weekly Wednesday guest, the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in His Fears, Bob Labriola. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing pretty good, Dale. I mean, ready to get back at it. You know, look, we've been talking about this second half of the schedule since it came out back in May, and now we're here. I'm excited about it.
Did what the Steelers did on Tuesday raise your level of excitement at all, or was that just kind of, okay, they got a couple of guys that might help at some point?
More the latter than the former. I think that while there might have been a lot of hope or wanting for the Steelers to add some top of the depth chart guys, you know, and certainly wide receiver was the one position that's been talked about since
Brady be done talking about that. That's one of the best gifts of yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, and that all started when the off-season program began, or the day after Deontay Johnson was traded. But what they added, I think, was, you know, depth pieces, and I don't want to demean the players by calling them depth pieces, but I don't know. Preston Smith to me is an unretired Marcus Golden. You know, he gives them a fourth outside linebacker, edge player. The guy can contribute some pass rush. He is good against the run. He can eat some snaps without, you know, having it be a hold your breath situation. Oh my God, you know, what's going to happen? Well, we got to play these guys. No offense to Jeremiah Moon and some of the other guys. But we have to play these guys because we like to rest T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith for periods during the game. The other addition, Mike Williams, I don't see him in Washington on Sunday suddenly being, what Devontae Adams was maybe right away for the Jets, or what DeAndre Hopkins was right away for the Chiefs. But he's a guy who, he adds another weapon. He's a complement. He's a guy that opponents are going to have to respect. Or, Russell Wilson, this switch to Wilson, to me, really is, coming to fruition, because now you not only have another weapon, another complementary weapon on your offense, but you have a quarterback who that's his forte is, reading it, distributing the ball to everybody, doing those kind of veteran quarterback things. So, Mike Williams could end up being a big help to the offense, but I still think it's fair to call him a depth piece.
Yeah, I hear you. And so I know you're aware of this, but I'm not sure if our listeners are. I mean, Mike Tomlin's 25-6 against rookie quarterbacks. That's the third best winning percentage behind Don Shula and Hank Stram since 1950. He's also 12-4 after a bye on
13-4.
13-4?
13-4.
All right. And on a 6-game winning streak. So
7-game winning streak.
I think I'm a year behind.
You're a year behind on that.
I must be. Okay. I'm glad you caught me on that. Is that just because he's had a good team and he's a good coach, or is there more to it? Because those two worlds collide this game too.
Yeah, I mean, the against rookie quarterback stat is, impressive.
Yeah.
But this Jaden Daniels, I mean,
he's on the usual.
Your everyday rookie quarterback. I mean, this guy, he has his interception percentage. He's played 524 offensive snaps for a 7-2 team. He has one fumble loss and 2 interceptions. His interception percentage is lower today than Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Burrow,
pretty much everyone.
Jared Goff, who is supposedly, I don't know, an MVP in waiting if Lamar Jackson will allow him to win it. I kid, because I really like the Ravens. I have a lot of respect for them. And the guy who was drafted ahead of him, the only guy drafted ahead of him, Caleb Williams. So, the record against rookie quarterbacks, he's really going to have to earn this next notch on the belt if Mike Tomlin gets it on Sunday, because this guy, he's just not. When you look up rookie quarterback in the football dictionary, it's not his picture there. There might be some other pictures there, yeah, but his is not one of them. And then after the bye week, I don't really know what to make of that. I don't, because the buys have come at different times. I don't know that.
I would think most established head coaches have a winning record at least after the bye. You get healthier, but this is pretty extreme.
Oh yeah, I know. Again, I don't know that it's anything unique, but I think it speaks to Mike Tomlin's abilities as a head coach.
Yeah,
and his understanding of the way he always describes his job is giving the team what it needs at that particular time. I think a really good record after the bye indicates that you're doing that, whatever that might be. At whatever time of the year, they've come early, they've come middle, they've come late, and different teams need different things at different parts of the season. I mean, I think this year, the getting some guys back is going to be very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to speak out of term as the Dean of Doom or Lord of Living Spirit, whatever Dale describes me as, but it looks like everybody's going to be back except maybe Nick Herbig.
Yeah, that's the way it appears. Hey, Bob, you talked about Daniels. He's probably the closest thing to Lamar Jackson in the league right now. Do you attack him the same way the Steelers have attacked Lamar Jackson? which is to have your outside linebackers strictly worry about him and just let the running backs, if they want to hand the ball to Brian Robinson or Austin Ekeler, okay, the other guys are responsible for that, but the two outside linebackers are responsible largely for the quarterback.
And they like to hit him every chance they possibly get.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that's to me is hit him as often as possible legally.
Mm-hmm.
That's to me would be, if you're going to ask me what one thing I think the Steelers need to do with Jaden Daniels, it's that. You can't coddle this guy or, let him pull any of that Mahomes garbage. Faking running out of bounds and running up the sideline with no consequence. If you get when he is a runner, he is a runner. And if he's running, you hit him cleanly, fairly, but you hit him. That's the rule. You're allowed. Hopefully the Zebras understand that that's the rule too. And, I just don't know that they will be giving a rookie the same kid glove treatment that Brady got, that Mahomes gets, right now. maybe even kind of some of the stuff that Lamar gets. But that to me would be, if you would ask me what would I like to see on Sunday in terms of how the Steelers deal with Jaden Daniels, it would be that.
I just remember they did that to RG3 the one game when he filled in for Lamar Jackson at the end of a season.
Remember the Thursday night game against Cam Newton too?
Yeah, but
that's the one I was going to bring up.
Yeah, they just killed him. Yeah, he was never the same after that.
Right, even if McCaffrey got a long run, they were killing Newton. Yeah.
And I remember from that Carolina game afterwards, Mike Tomlin mentioning that he pushes his own players' buttons, and if he gets an opportunity, he'll push other guys' buttons. I mean, there was a situation during the pregame where, they happened to be walking past each other, and Newton. Everybody likes Mike Tomlin. Newton came up to him and, whatever he had to say, in a nice pregame kind of way. And Tomlin said something to the effect that, "Hey man, I just want you to know, get down because no, we're going to be playing today."
Yeah.
So if you have a chance to slide, and I'm not saying this was a quote, but this was the gist of his message. If you have a chance to get down on the ground, I would suggest it because we're coming here to play physical football tonight, and so maybe that's the way you get into Jaden Daniels' head, more than with a confusing coverage or that kind of stuff. Because I'm not saying Jaden Daniels is soft or any of that stuff.
No, he's just human.
But right, you're just human, and the Steelers have a reputation for playing physically. And if you look at teams the week after they play the Steelers, they got long injury lists. So I'm sure the word is out among the players that, as Wolfley always says, it's a two chin strap game when you play Pittsburgh. So, again, like I said at the beginning, I think this is going to be fun. I am nervous because I always am, but it's kind of like when you were in college and getting ready for finals week, and then it was suddenly on you. If there was with me, there was always some fear, trepidation, but also some excitement and let's go. It's time. Let's do this.
Yeah, I never worried that much about it. That was
so you guys were probably
that's
a
why
lot
Matt
more
and I are
prepared
doing
for
what
me,
we're doing.
right? Yeah.
But I remember that game with RG3. Every time they would do all that read option stuff, and either Watt or Highsmith would come running in and just hit him. And he would turn around and yell at the officials every single time, like, they're hitting me.
Even if the back gets a gain out of it. Yeah.
No, hit the quarterback. Hit the quarterback every time, and it got in his head. You could see it. You could visibly see he was troubled by this whole thing every single time that they came in and hit him.
Half second after it comes out of his hands on a read option or whatever. Yeah.
Right. I mean, whatever the rules are, Whenever the quarterback, whatever he does to establish himself as a runner or part of a running play, you're allowed to treat him like a running back. And that's the thing. A lot of teams, at the point of whatever they wouldn't, if it's a read option, wherever the quarterback and the running back meet, and he puts the ball in his gut, if he gives it to the running back and then wants to run and carry out the fake, you can hit him. Again,
and there's
a legal way to do it. Right, and it's not cheap. You know what I mean? You're not planting him or drilling a shoulder into his head or anything, but you give him a little pop in the chest, and they don't like that. The quarterbacks don't like that. They don't, and that's why you do it.
And going back to LSU, Daniels is unbelievable, but he doesn't protect himself very well. Just a note there. So I want to switch gears on you. I mean, I thought McCollum way excelled or way past my expectations as really your third-string center. But you mentioned earlier they're getting guys back, and none to me bigger than Zach Frazier. And I always like to ask you Steeler history stuff when you're on Wednesdays. I mean, I know this is big praise, but is it a Pouncey-like rookie year for Frazier?
I don't think he's a Pouncey-like player in this respect. At least to me, so far, he hasn't shown it. If you want to divide the Steelers centers into strength, the categories of strength or athleticism, Mike Webster would be strength. Dermontti Dawson and Pouncey would be athletic. I don't know.
Not that they're lacking in the other areas, but I know
exactly.
Right.
But I don't know, if you could pull Zach Frazier on a running play at the goal line, and he's going to lead your running back around the end into the end zone, because Dermontti Dawson could do that. Marquise Pouncey could do that. Mike Webster couldn't do that, but that's okay.
Don't ask him to, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know enough about Zach Frazier yet in his career, and his career is really so young to me that I would say this about Zach Frazier. I think he is on a very early path toward joining the greats at that position in Steelers history. Not all of them are Hall of Famers. A bunch of them are, but not all of them are. Jeff Hardings, I think, belongs in that group.
Mansfield was really good, right?
Mansfield was really good. Dan Rooney always talked about Chuck Gerondolo back in the day. So, those are the guys whose pictures are up on that wall in the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. So, I don't know, maybe Zach Frazier's picture ends up there one day, a decade from now. But I think he is on the path.
Good start for sure.
Making a case for himself, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, Lab, something I've always wanted to ask you, and I think some of our listeners would like to know this as well. You, of course, do the question and answer with Mike Tomlin that drops on Steelers.com every Sunday. And if you haven't checked that out yet, you need to read that every Sunday morning on game days because it's outstanding stuff. How do you decide what you're going to ask Mike Tomlin in those situations?
Ancient Chinese secret. You're not
because he's. I mean, a lot of times he is really. It pulls back the curtain with you in those for some of the answers. A lot of times.
I mean, he must be comfortable with you, obviously.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was going to say he trusts me. I'm very fortunate and pleased that he does. I don't ask him what I would refer to as tabloid questions, clickbait questions. I think that's a way to get him to expound on some issues without saying, like a couple 3 weeks ago, I had him go over through the trade process, just how it starts with the research, who's doing that, who's it presented to, when does When does he get involved? What's Omar's role? When does Mike Tomlin get involved? When do they present it to Art Rooney? That kind of stuff. Rather than say you're going to get Brandon Ayuk. Well, yeah,
right.
Ask him. Instead of, and Mike Tomlin refers to it as, the ingredients in the hot dog.
Yeah, right.
I don't ask for the ingredients in the hot dog. I just want to know how he cooks it to make it taste so good.
Put mustard on it, or yeah, right.
That's a good explanation of that. You have a great way of again, if people haven't read that or they don't read that, every Sunday morning, or if the game on Monday, it runs Monday morning. Yes,
game day.
It's game day morning. It's must read. I tweet it out every weekend on my X Twitter. It's fantastic stuff every week, and you do a great job with getting him to really explain things. And I think people need to check that out if they haven't done so.
Well, one of the and this is kind of a Mike Tomlin tenet or principle. Like when you ask him about, scouting or evaluating players in the run-up to their draft, and then because so often Steelers' decisions made on trades or signing guys to the practice squad or, as free agents or whatever, they will go back to the research and the information that they gathered, during that process. He told me about the T.J. Watt dinner, Wisconsin Pro Day. He said the thing about T.J. Watt was it was just so different. He said he was very disinterested in the whole, dinner part of it, schmoozing that goes between the coach and the players,
wow, I can't believe I'm having dinner with Mike Tomlin kind of stuff.
Or the glad handing, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
All he wanted to do was talk about what was going to happen at the pro day, what that meant to the NFL people that were going to be there, and then how would he be able to use all of that to get better. He told me one of the things about Najee Harris that was really stuck with him was that, Najee Harris came from Oakland, California. Mike Tomlin said he was really impressed by the fact that Najee Harris got on an airplane and flew over a lot of top programs in college football to get to Tuscaloosa, because that's where, if you want to be great, go there.
Mm-hmm.
You want to excel there, win championships there, then you've arrived as a competitor, or it showcases the kind of competitor that you are. Those kinds of guys. So it just provides insight into a lot of people, the procedure that they use to try and suss out the contenders from the pretenders. Just a lot of that kind of thing. Another one. He gave a tutorial on how you block kicks in the NFL, and this was before all the blocks. No, I mean, it was just something that interested me. I said, how do you block kicks in the NFL? And he talked a lot about, the films, the video study and all that goes into it, that you need teamwork within the units to get it done. For example, for like blocking a field goal, there's guys who are just pushing the pile and trying to create a scene for other guys to get through and get their hand up. And then he said, and I thought was quite candid, and I believe it, is he said, and bottom line is you have to depend on mistakes by the opponent. They have to have some fault with their procedure, their snap, hold, kick mechanism, because if they execute it, you can't block it. You can't get a guy if, like, for example, a snap kick to the punter, 1.2 seconds. I don't know if a guy could get there unblocked.
Unblocked, yeah.
Yeah.
If they do it right. if the snap is where it's supposed to be, right in the punter's hands, it comes back there with that velocity, and he punts the ball, you can't block that kick. Same thing with placements. Danny Smith, that was always his line. 1.2 seconds, you're in the Pro Bowl. 1.3 seconds, you got a job in the league. 1.4 seconds, you're working at 7-Eleven. So, that kind of, I don't know.
They're down to like the 100th of a second on long snaps. Stuff really matters. Yeah.
And the way the ball, the spin on the ball that allows the holder not to have to turn the laces away. He can just catch it and put it down, because a good long snapper will spin it back to him. When he catches it, the laces are already not facing the kicker.
The rotation's the same every time,
Yes, every time. So, I don't know. To me, I learn a lot too myself. Rules, he'll tell you about rules. I'd imagine that the next one or two of those, I'm going to get him to go over the rules for how you treat the quarterback during the read option, ball transfer or not, what's legal, what's not. Those kinds of things. I mean, again, it lets you know. It lets you know how they approach things, what they're actually telling the players, maybe a little bit in meetings and coaching them when you break it down into individual things or in meetings or whatever.
Absolutely. Gives you an idea.
He's still on the competition committee, right?
Yeah. So it gives you an idea of things to look for in the game. If you read the piece, and you should read the piece every Sunday morning or game day morning. We got to let you go, Bob. We kept you over here, and appreciate your time. And enjoy the weekend this weekend, and maybe the Steelers will come home with a victory and be 7-2 themselves, or the Washington Commanders will be 8-2. 8-2. Could you imagine that? We'll see. Wow. See what happens down there in D.C. He is Bob Labriola, editor of Steelers Digest and Steelers.com. Always appreciate his time. That's Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And
I might try doing that to you now that we're on video. Make you crack up as we're coming in.
I really appreciate that. That's great. So, Matt, the crew that will work this weekend's game.
Oh, I didn't look into that. Okay.
Brad Rogers' crew.
Not familiar with his work.
I think he had the opener for the Steelers.
Did he?
Yeah. They averaged 13.57 penalties per game, which is just above the league average of like 12.5.
It sounds like a lot, but everyone has a lot now.
It's not out of control. The most often called penalties for them: false starts, 17 of those.
You have
got to call those,
do them, right? Yeah.
Unless apparently the Chiefs are on the field, then you never.
The tackles don't have to.
Offensive holding, 15 of those.
Okay, I think that benefits the Steelers.
Yeah,
I think good D line.
And defensive pass interference, 11 of those.
I don't think that favors the Steelers.
Yeah.
Porter's a little notorious.
He hasn't had a penalty since like week 2, though.
I know.
He had the one game where he
grabby,
had, but
a lot of it's because of his length.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be on McLaurin. But, I mean, it's not that big a deal.
No. So
Pickens is actually really good at generating them, too. Yeah. And I bet Mike Williams is, too.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Williams and Lattimore play, but I mean, Lattimore's a man coverage guy too.
Yeah, so just something to keep an eye on. False starts, holding, DPI. Those are the ones they call the most.
But they're not crazy with flags.
No, those are the only 3 that they've called in double digits this year.
Okay, and again, the false start thing's just a coincidence. I mean, every crew's going to call every one of those.
You have to. If you don't, then people are screaming and yelling.
I didn't look into Washington's penalty history or if they're bad or good or whatever, but
I can tell you.
I'm sure you could.
I'm looking at that stuff.
I bet they're good because they play a really clean game with turnovers, and a lot of things have gone their way this year. Penalties are not dragging them.
They've only had one game this season where they've had double digits of penalties. That was week 2 when they had Scott Novak's crew. This will be their first game with Brad Rogers this year. So.
Okay. Well, it doesn't sound like a real polarizing crew. One way or another.
An average type crew.
Right down the middle type.
That game in the week 1, when Brad Rogers worked that game, the Steelers had against the Falcons, they had 9. But that was week 1. Like week one's kind of
It's always a little sloppier. Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, you probably earned them too. There's probably some procedural stuff there.
the Steelers have only had one game this season where they had double-digit penalties. Not surprisingly, that was a Clete Blakeman game.
Oh yeah.
Because they are way off the chart in terms of
they're on the opposite.
They call everything. If Clete Blakeman, this is why I now look this up because of Clete Blakeman.
Yeah, right,
Every week I put it out there because
do you get him or not?
Yeah.
And there's a couple other bad ones. I don't know the names. His is obviously easy to remember.
I can tell you
He's
that.
got an interesting name too.
I love the NFLpenalties.com. That's where I get all
it's
this.
great.
Everything is on there. So
I'll tell you how many holding calls do you have? How many pass interference? All that stuff.
Clete Blakeman's actually the average has gone down for Blakeman. Maybe somebody yelled at him.
I bet he got a word in his
but they're now averaging 16.13 penalties per game. They were over 20 the first 4 weeks of the season.
10 per side's a lot.
142.5 yards per game in penalty yardage for Clete Blakeman's crew.
Too much.
Ron Torbert is the other one. They're at 16. That's way too many. Then you got Alex Kemp at 15.63. Adrian Hill is 15.38, and then everybody else is under 14. Okay. So you got those 4 over-officious jerk crews.
Yeah.
And then everybody else.
Is there anyone that's like super low?
Carl Sheffer's crew. Carl Sheffer's crew averages 9.13 penalties per game.
Think how different that is. From 1 to 32 kind of thing.
7 penalties per game on average, and we're
pretty deep into this.
We're 8 weeks into this thing. 9 weeks in some cases, that's pretty significant.
And I promise you could probably go back over their careers.
Yeah.
And be like, this guy.
Oh, you can look that stuff up too.
Yeah. By year or
I think Pro Football Reference used to have that. I don't know if they still do it.
Like you could just click on Clete Blakeman and it
would give you every year what he's called and what he averages, all that stuff.
Just like a running back stat.
Yeah. And it's not just the referee. He's kind of
course, he's
the face of the crew.
Yeah, right. He's going to name anyone's ever heard of. Right.
But it'll be interesting to see once the playoff matchups come out, which ones of these crew get the playoff games and which ones don't.
I know Blakeman's been around a while.
Yeah.
Because I've heard the name. But I would think you'd want less.
I would think so, especially in big games.
You get new eyes on the field, too, and they don't want a lot of laundry.
Absolutely. Anyways, let's get to a break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Of course, you can hear The Drive 5 days a week, Monday through Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. You can also download the app, the Steelers mobile app. And
find us everywhere.
Go right down, download right to your phone, and you can also watch on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you get a little show there when we start it up. Matt and I trying to crack each other up as we get into the open here. He wasn't looking, though. I missed the whole thing.
Oh, I didn't know you did anything.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's get to
it's all making me chuckle either way.
Let's get to the fantasy football focus.
All right.
As we mentioned, Brian Robinson with that hamstring injury for the Washington Commanders, limited at practice. The team
plug him right back in your lineup if he plays. Those other guys were serviceable, tough run defense, but he's good.
Yeah, I don't know that he's.
I mean, he's not Barkley good.
That's this is a bad. I'm kind of torn.
Yeah, I don't own him anywhere.
I don't either, but I just don't know that he's going to get a lot of running space up the middle against the Steelers.
I would think not.
Yeah.
And they have other guys, and maybe ease him in slow, and Daniels is going to get carries, but he's an every week starter up. When he's been healthy.
Yeah, scores touchdowns, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts with a hamstring listed as limited today.
Decent development. I don't know what Drake London's situation is.
Well, he officially was limited as well with that hip injury.
Okay, I thought that might be worse.
Yeah, that's a hip pointer. We'll see. Again, when you say limited, it's very broad now.
Yeah. That could
Not like it used to be. If he's running on the side or if he's even at practice doing anything with trainers, they have to list him as limited.
Mooney's attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, Mooney's had a really good year, and this might be a high point for him.
Chris Olave with that concussion did not practice on Wednesday. That didn't look good.
No, it's his 5th one. I double-checked that. He had 1 at Ohio State. He's had 4 reported in the pros.
Yeah. Hate that.
Yeah, hate that a lot.
Hate that.
I assume they won't rush him back. I mean, interim head coach.
Yeah. Jamal Williams with the groin was limited on Wednesday.
Kind of forgot about him.
Yeah, so I think the Saints did too. Alvin Kamara with the hand injury. I think that's a fractured hand.
It might be.
He practiced in full on Wednesday.
Okay. Well, he's getting a workload.
He's been playing through it, yeah. Juwan Jennings with a hip injury listed as limited on Wednesday.
Somebody's got to do something, but that doesn't super excite me.
Yeah. Jake Moody with the ankle injury listed as limited on Wednesday. He's, of course, San Francisco's kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Debo Samuel, ribs and oblique, a limited participant on Wednesday.
They're coming off a bye, too,
Yeah.
along with the Steelers. So there's a lot of Debo playing, is McCaffrey playing,
Yeah. McCaffrey listed as limited at practice on Wednesday. He's in his 21-day window.
They opened it, so I
Yeah.
assume.
He probably doesn't play this week.
You don't think? I don't know.
Limited today? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, that just means he saw the field in some capacity.
Yeah. Probably ease him back into it. I don't know.
I don't know why. It seems like a lot of those times when you open the window, he's ready. It doesn't last 21 days.
You got to kind of ramp up to it, though.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't been
I guess
doing
that's how they did Wilson
football
a little
stuff.
bit,
Yeah. Graham Gano, officially listed as limited on Wednesday. The Giants opened up his 21-day practice window. So, again, he's a kicker.
He's a kicker.
So
Yeah.
maybe he could get out there and do some stuff. Keaton Mitchell, remember him?
Yep, I kind of like him.
He's questionable to play Thursday with that knee injury, but he's nearing a comeback here, just in time to play the Steelers.
I thought he'd be back much later than this. I mean, that was a bad injury from what I remember. Little guy.
Yeah.
Just one more element. I mean, you get Deontay and you add him to that offense,
Isaiah Likely, hamstring, will not play on Thursday night.
Okay. Does that boost Andrews?
I guess.
It's a bad defense they're playing.
They're going to play a lot of 12.
I mean, yeah, instead of 3 tight ends splitting reps and Ricard, the fullback, now you eliminate one.
I mean, they've played a lot of 12 personnel.
Yeah. They throw everything at you if you count the fullback, too, or if you count him as a tight end. And I bet Deontay gets ramped up a little bit, too.
Although it's a short week.
I know. It's weird. It doesn't sound like Higgins is going to play in that game.
No. Charlie Jones with the groin unlikely to play Thursday for the Bengals. T. Higgins doubtful to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not going to play.
He's not going to play. That's a quad. Curtis Samuel with a pec limited on Wednesday. I want to go back to the T. Higgins thing real quick. So when Higgins hasn't been out there, Mike Gesicki has been the beneficiary.
Yeah. They're not much different.
Yeah.
I mean, just one is a TE and one is a WR. But Gesicki never lines up in line or anything like that. And Burrow likes him. That's all that matters.
You can throw the ball against Baltimore.
I think there's going to be a lot of points in that game.
Yeah.
Probably means it'll be 11-12 or something. AFC North slugfest on Thursday night,
Again, Curtis Samuel with the pec injury limited on Wednesday.
I expected more from him this year. He's been. I mean, I know he's had injuries, but
that's the Curtis Samuel curse.
Mm-hmm. He's a tease.
Yeah. Amari Cooper with the wrist officially limited on Wednesday. That kept him out of last week's game.
Would you put him right back in the lineup if he gets cleared Friday or whatever?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I bet he's a top 30 receiver on any fantasy list.
Chuba Hubbard was given a day off to rest today.
Okay.
We'll see
I
how
know
that
they want
looks.
to get a look at Brooks.
Yeah, Jonathan Brooks probably took all the first-team reps then with Hubbard out, but that just makes that a cloudy situation.
Just hurts Hubbard.
Yeah.
I've been holding Brooks. I'm not going to cut him now or anything, but it was basically a failed experiment to this point.
Yeah, they did activate him to the 53-man roster officially, though. So
I'm
he's
excited
back.
about him. Right.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not starting him this week.
No, you got to see how they split those carries up. Adam Thielen with the Carolina Panthers with that hamstring didn't practice on Wednesday.
If he was healthy, would he have moved?
Probably.
I mean, I've been 3 receivers they traded.
Yeah.
But
remember,
doesn't
last
do any
year
good.
with Bryce Young at quarterback, Adam Thielen caught 100 passes.
I say he was highly relevant.
Yeah.
He was the whoopee.
Yeah. Bryce Young will start Week 10 for the Carolina Panthers. Darius Slay with a groin injury back on the practice field on Wednesday for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay. Mitchell's had a really good year. Quinion Mitchell and DeJean as the slot has had a really good year. And now you add Slay back in the mix. That's a pretty good trio.
They
of
got
corners.
Houston this week, so.
Oh, okay. I mean, Nico's not going to be back.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it might be a Monday night or Sunday night
Dallas Goedert with that hamstring injury back practicing on Wednesday.
That makes sense because it's been about 4 weeks and they didn't put him on IR.
A.J. Brown with the knee practicing on Wednesday. Thanks, A.J.
Oh, yeah, he was in our lineup. Right. That's the worst.
We needed 10 points to finish.
Between Olave
and Brown.
They probably would have got there.
They probably would have gotten this.
Even one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that, but our Monday Nighters did real well.
They did.
Mhm.
Yeah, we
Hopkins and Otten.
ended up scoring 132 plus points in our with our DFS
We looked
lineup
pretty smart all in all.
with 2 guys out.
Yeah, I'm saying we had 2 guys.
Left the games early.
2 empty roster spots.
Yeah.
We did pretty well.
Patrick Mahomes with that ankle injury practiced in full on Wednesday.
Okay. When that happened, I thought it was going to not like season ending, but I thought it was going to be bad.
Yeah, the way his knee kind of buckled when it happened, I'm like, ooh, that's not good.
No.
Nico Collins with that hamstring injury, not practicing Wednesday.
Okay. He's still on IR, right?
He's
Or
missed.
Did they open the window?
He's missed 4 games, so he's eligible to return.
Gotcha. I didn't know if they put him on or I think they did.
Michael Pittman with that back issue, not practicing Wednesday. He is largely fantasy irrelevant.
I would
at
say
this
he
point.
scares me. I mean, he just not moving the same. You know, there's that old saying that you never used to have a back injury. You know, like it looks like he's struggling.
Yeah.
Fire up Downs.
Yeah.
I mean, Downs.
He's Downs as a starter anyways.
I know. Yeah,
every
I mean,
week.
he gets a lot of opportunity though. I'm not sure everyone realizes like Tillman and Downs are.
They're playing
real
Buffalo
fantasy
this
assets.
week though, and
It's a good defense.
it's a good Teron Johnson is one of the better nickel corners in the
Yes,
in the
he
league.
absolutely is, and they probably will rush past. Well, Colts do a pretty decent job. Real quick aside, I'm a Joe Flacco supporter. I mean, everyone knows that.
You recruited him.
I helped recruit him. Yep, he would not end up at Pitt if it wasn't for me. That is absolutely true. Because his tape was laying there and nobody was watching it. And I'm like, who is this guy with a rocket right arm that's 6'6"? Anyway, he's overrated.
Flacco?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was okay with the Browns last year, but a lot of it was just because he wasn't Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And he came in against the Steelers and did really good things, but he put the ball this close to harm's way and got away with it. And then this past week, he produced 3 points. You know, like, he's okay. He's good for downs. He's good for these receivers in fantasy, but he's about done.
They look like an NFL offense when he's in there.
Absolutely.
As opposed to the 2 guys that he's replaced.
It's a much more exaggerated version of Wilson and Fields,
Yeah.
you know.
CeeDee Lamb with the shoulder injury, not practicing on Wednesday.
I mean, Dak's out.
Yeah.
Are they going to rush Parsons back at this point? They're already talking about, is Belichick going to coach that team? Would you dump Lamb if you had him? For like 85 cents on the dollar?
No.
I mean, Cooper Rush is good enough to get him the ball
he'll get
10 times a game.
He'll get him the football.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't trade him because you're not going to get the return.
Now's not it's not a high point, obviously.
I would have traded him maybe a couple of weeks ago, like first time he had a big game. He's only had one 100-yard game this season.
I mean, for being a top 3 pick in every fantasy league, good, not great.
Yeah. Darius Slayton had a concussion and will not practice on Wednesday. I wonder.
I just thought the same thing.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of these instances. I'm not saying they settled on Mike Williams, but they had to have conversations about Slayton.
Yeah. Juju Smith-Schuster with that hamstring, not practicing Wednesday. Well, he's completely fantasy irrelevant now.
Yeah, I'm cutting him. I picked him up a couple weeks ago in several leagues, and I think with Hopkins there, he's done.
Brandon Cooks will not be activated off of IR at this time because an infection developed in his knee.
There's no good news in Dallas.
That could be really bad. DeMarcus Lawrence with the foot injury, not being activated off IR. I didn't think he would. That's like I think a mid-foot sprain. That's usually Liz Frank.
Okay.
That's not something you just come back.
Parsons close? Seems like that should be happening soon.
He returned to practice in a limited fashion today.
Okay. That's the only good news I've heard out of Dallas in a month.
Yeah. It was reported earlier in the week that the Cowboys were going to put Dak Prescott on IR. He's saying not so fast.
Okay, so maybe misses 3 games. I mean, the NFC, you still have to probably win 2 of those.
Yeah.
to
Well,
get
and
back in this
they've
thing.
kept their Cooper Rush has kept their head
He's not
above
bad.
water before.
Yeah. That's exactly what he does. He keeps your head above water.
Yeah. Keon Coleman with a wrist did not practice Wednesday. Could miss more than a week.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like he's playing this week.
Yeah. Khalil Shakir
And Amari, if he's back.
and Amari
Yeah.
Cooper. Yeah. Will Reichard, Minnesota's kicker, was placed on IR. A lot of kicker injuries.
Is that their 3rd kicker?
They drafted him.
Did they? Okay. I couldn't know. I didn't know if
think
he was on
last
their
year they
opening
were-
roster.
yeah.
Or I know he's young.
Yeah, last year they were moving
Going
kickers
through a
around.
bunch
Yeah.
of them in quarterbacks.
You don't until you go through that. We
That
don't have a
kicker
kicker.
carousel is the worst.
If you don't remember as a Steeler fan the things that were happening before the Steelers got Boz.
Every Tuesday you have a conversation of they pick up a new kicker.
Yeah.
You know, like you missed 1 kick out of
Yeah.
Brutal.
The Vikings signed John Parker Romo.
Is that a kicker?
To be a kicker. Yeah, to be their kicker.
No, it doesn't sound good for their dude then.
But it's relevant, though. The Vikings have a good offense.
Oh, yeah. And there's 6 teams on bye. That might be your kicker this week.
John Parker Romo. And they play Jacksonville. So they're going to score points.
They're always in domes. And,
Yeah. The Jaguars signed C.J. Beathard because Trevor Lawrence limited on Wednesday with an upper body injury. That's all they listed as upper body. Is this hockey?
Their season's shot. They just traded.
There's a lot on your upper body that could be hurt.
That's pretty vague.
Yeah.
Would you rush them back? They're all getting fired. Like it or not, that's your prime asset in the organization.
Yeah.
You don't have a left tackle.
Maybe the owner steps in or the GM steps in. Hey, Trevor's sitting. We just traded our left tackle.
You're right. We're just gonna throw him out there and get his head beat.
And we paid him We overpaid him $60 million a year, whatever it was.
I mean, they're married to him.
Yeah. Lamar Jackson had missed practice. He didn't practice on Tuesday, the only day they practiced this week. He will play Thursday night against the Bengals.
Yeah.
It's a knee issue, though. Nobody's talking about this.
Yeah. I heard I think it was one of their beat reporters last week when Lamar missed time, this time of the week last week, that they said he would have practiced last week if it wasn't for an upcoming Thursday game, that they just wanted all the load management off of him going up to these back-to-back tight games. Guess I get that.
They say that, and
I'm sure there's still something there.
He ran 3 times for 4 yards last week.
Yeah. I mean, true pocket passer, right.
3 times for 4 yards. The week before that, before he had the knee issue, was 8 for 46. So something's bugging him.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't doubt it.
That 3 carries for 4 yards out of Lamar Jackson, that's not what they're looking to do.
No.
Now, they were winning that game handily against Denver.
Sure.
He only threw the ball 19 times, but
obviously it's a huge weapon.
Yeah.
That's something to keep an eye on. I mean, keep an eye on that Thursday night.
Yeah. There's an issue in that game. It reminded me of because somebody tweeted out there. So in that game, Lamar had 3 carries for 4 yards. He had a long carry of 11 yards.
Okay. It's hard to do.
There was a play where they did read option, and he started running to his left.
Mm-hmm.
Went to reverse field and started running back the other way and got tackled for a big loss.
Yeah, okay.
And somebody said, I think it might have been Warren Sharp or somebody, why doesn't this count as a sack? He's the quarterback. He's a quarterback by trade. It's the same. It made me think of, no, it was Baldinger, Brian Baldinger. The quarterback is still behind the line of scrimmage. Whether you think this is what happens in Baltimore. It happened to T.J. Watt when he should have broken the all-time sack record.
I see what you're saying.
They counted it as a run instead of a pass. He's the quarterback.
The quarterback behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
But what if the offensive line's run blocking?
Read option. They're half of them are doing half anyways. You're putting it on the people who sit, the statisticians at each stadium, to decide what's going to be a run and what's going to be a pass.
And I would guess you'd want the home team to have fewer sacks.
Yes.
Against.
Yes.
You know what I mean? As opposed to tackle for loss.
Because it made me think,
worse,
and I tweeted back at Baldinger, it was very much like the T.J. Watt sack play.
Mm-hmm.
It was an aborted snap. The ball was dropped. It was raining. I think it was raining that day. Quarterback, Huntley, picks the ball up, and Watt comes in and tackles him.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that.
He gets up off the ground. He doesn't just fall on the ball. He gets up off the ground, and he could throw the football in that situation. Why is that not a sack?
I was say, I mean, is there? Let's say that exact same thing happened to Dan Marino or Tom Brady.
Nobody's saying that's not a sack.
It's a sack.
Yeah.
right. Because they're not running quarterbacks.
Right.
That's my point, of course. Right. That's a good point. No, there should be.
He can throw the football. In fact, in that situation, he would be smart to throw the football away because now you're not taking a big loss.
But I'm not sure every quarterback tackle for loss. I'm not sure you're even saying this. Every quarterback tackle for loss should be a sack.
No, not everyone, because there are
run the sweep, or if it's pretty obvious this is a designed run. But it's different, like you botch the snap and you don't know the play call, and you're ad-libbing.
And some of the read option stuff. How many times you see the read option and then drop back to pass?
Mm-hmm.
Happens a lot.
Yeah.
Just because he read option to the running back, that doesn't mean he's running the ball.
Right.
Ben Roethlisberger used to do the mesh handoff all the time. He
never
wasn't running the football.
Right. No, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. I remember we had this conversation when the Watt thing happened.
Yeah, but that's what
he
they
got
did.
robbed. Yeah,
because you're dependent upon the home statisticians.
Yeah,
and they're not
going to.
They're not going to credit that. That's why tackles are not an official statistic.
That's what I was about to bring up.
When people say this guy leads the league in tackles, I don't care.
Right.
I don't
wonder
care
if they should
because
have like
his home statisticians could say, "Oh, he was close to that. Let's give him a half a tackle."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you always use a Raven example, and like, I wonder if the NFL should have like an independent neurologist statistician. You know what I mean? Like someone that has nothing. They don't live in that stadium.
I don't think that they care enough to do that, but they should. Players should care about it because that's the difference between getting
there's a lot of millions involved here. I mean, you could give someone $10,000 every game day to just do that.
If you asked, you gave TJ Watt truth serum, him not getting that sack on that play still bugs him.
Of course,
he wanted to have the league record to himself.
And bonuses, and when you go up for your contract, like. Looks like you had 8 sacks, son. Like, yeah, but I should have got credit for 11.
Yeah.
Like, no, you shouldn't.
No,
yeah, you got 8.
Stats are the stats.
Well, I can't give you that extra $1 million.
I figured that out a long time ago. I think I've said this before on the air. When the Steelers were playing Denver in the AFC Championship in, 1997 at Three River Stadium. And I get the press release from the Broncos, and on the front page of it, they were in paper back then. Imagine that. And I'm looking at it, and they said, Denver has 8 guys who have 100 tackles.
Yeah.
I'm like,
how many
that's
plays
a lot.
have they run?
Yeah, I'm like, how many plays have been run against this team? And then I went and I went in the same stat package, counted every running play and every completion that they had against them, and it added up to like 875 plays or 900 plays, whatever it was. So I'm like, so you're telling me there were never and they had other guys who had tackles. So you had 8 guys who had 100 tackles. They had 8 if you just added up the solo tackles.
They had more than the opportunities.
They had more than than plays run against them. That is utterly impossible. So nobody ever ran out of bounds on them. Nobody ever just scored a touchdown.
I don't know this, but it seems like the modern day equivalent is the Colts. Even go back to Leonard.
They got like 5 guys in the top 10 in
tackles. Right.
Yeah.
And part of it's because they're on the field a lot and they're not a good defense, and the defense is designed that way. But for 5 years, they've had like one of the leading tacklers in the league.
Yeah.
You know.
So when they talk, I'm listening to their broadcast. I'm driving my daughter back to college on Sunday night. I'm listening to the Sunday night football game, and they're raving about Zaire Franklin and EJ. These guys are all in the top 10 in tackles in the league. I'm like, so it's not necessarily even a good stat. No. First of all, they're giving up, and the next like 2 minutes later said, well, the Colts do give up 5 yards per carry.
Yeah.
Well, you just were talking about what great guys, what great defensive players these guys are because of their tackle numbers.
See,
that's why I hate getting it back around to fantasy football.
But I wish we could trust it.
Fantasy football. Then when you play IDP.
Oh yeah, you just want I'm sure there's the right team. I don't do it on purpose.
If you track which teams pad this tackle numbers, you can really help your team.
Like another IDP thing is I want all the bad corners that get picked on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of defeating the purpose.
Right.
I'm drafting the worst. I don't want Patrick Surtain. He's too good.
Yeah. Nobody throws at him. Yeah.
Right. That's
he does you no good.
Doesn't do me no good. They're not going to throw him the ball. He's not going to get any tackles. But it would be interesting. I would love to get the real numbers on tackles and how far downfield they all are. That would be useful.
That would be useful
if it was real.
Yeah.
Not
if you could trust it.
32 different opinions.
And nothing like I sit close to
the Steeler guy, yeah.
A lot of different stadiums, you end up sitting next or close to the statisticians. And when you hear them yelling back and forth about, where's the yardage on that? And I'm like, that was 7 yards. Like, it's not that hard to figure, but you hear these things and you're like, I'm going to trust these guys.
Right. They easily could be a yard off often.
Often, yeah.
I mean, yeah. And that all equals out to some degree. But.
Or who had that, when they're yelling, who had that tackle? And it's like, well, I've done this long enough, especially with the Steeler guys, not so much with other, but I recognize guys by the way they run or the way they carry their pads. I don't need to see the number necessarily.
I'm really bad with numbers
to figure out who. That's George Pickens.
Yeah.
Like I can tell
the same way,
by the way he runs, or I can tell by the way. You shouldn't need to.
My son is
that hard to figure out.
He actually just applied to colleges, and one of his essays was, "I know every number in the league," and he does, and I know none. And we just see it differently, you know what I mean? But I'm like, I know who that is because he's 6'3" and he moves like this, right? Or he's running, the way he runs a pattern or whatever,
yeah.
But it would be really useful. I mean, with all the advanced stats that are out there that are on NFL.com, if you could tell me real tackle numbers, I'd like to know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be interesting. But that would be, I guess, the league would have to spend more money to do that, and I just don't know if they're interested in doing it. Yeah. Anyways. How do we get down that wormhole?
Hire Justin. He'll do it.
Lamar Jackson. Yeah, that's how we get down that wormhole.
Yeah. The sack thing.
Anyways, let's get to a break. That's going to do it for the Fantasy Football Focus. We don't plan any of this stuff, folks. We just go. And whatever we end up talking about, that's what we talk about. And you just saw a good example of that right there. But
it's not very fantasy-oriented.
He is Matt Williamson.
That's why you should listen to the fantasy segment, too. You might get something that's
You might get some knowledge, yeah. He's Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio. And Matt, when people talk about why do you guys talk about fantasy football stuff, there are reasons why. A lot of the stuff that we dig up stats-wise comes from fantasy football.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that is out there that you see when people talk about future schedules and stuff like that, I'm looking here at a chart that Mike Clay put out, and he does this on a regular basis, where he ranks what the quarterbacks have, or what you have at each position, what you've faced, and then what you have coming up in terms of difficulty,
Absolutely.
Points allowed, things of that nature. So here's how
and everybody realizes this is subject to change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Upcoming quarterback could get hurt.
This is how things play out for the Steelers in the second half. When people talk about this being a difficult second half. So at this point, the Steelers have faced the 19th toughest quarterback schedule in the league.
Okay.
Moving forward, they face the fourth
I say it's
easiest.
about to get harder. Oh.
Easiest.
Okay.
2 games against the Ravens, 2 games against Cincinnati.
I was thinking Washington. From a defensive perspective. I'm like, Lamar's not easy. Burrow's not easy.
No, I'm talking about from what the Steelers
that
offense will face.
I was thinking the upside-down version of that. Yeah.
So they've faced an slightly above average slate of quarterback defenses to this point.
Mm-hmm.
From this point on, it's the 4th easiest.
That makes all the sense in the world. Okay.
When we talk about why the Steelers went to Russell Wilson a couple of weeks ago, this is kind of why. Like, you want to be able to throw the football against these teams.
The Ravens are the ultimate best example because they couldn't be any different in terms of run defense versus pass defense.
Yeah. And we'll get to that in a second.
I mean, even if Fields and Wilson were equal players, their style of play, you want Wilson against the Ravens.
Yeah.
No doubt.
The running back schedule. Thus far, the Steelers have faced the 16th most difficult.
Okay.
The rest of the season, they face the most difficult running back schedule.
Ravens.
The Ravens twice.
I'm sure the Browns are decent.
The Browns are good against the run, yeah. You got them twice.
Bengals aren't. But
Kansas City's
real good against the run.
so they face a very difficult.
Eagles defense keeps getting better and better and better, too.
A very difficult slate of defenses for running backs.
Washington's not one of them.
No, Washington is not one of them. So they're dead last, 32nd in that. And that's with Washington on the scale. That's with Cincinnati twice.
So it's definitely going to be the hardest a week from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It just tells you how bad or how good these other defenses are. That what the Steelers still have. They got, again,
Baltimore twice is huge.
Baltimore twice. Since Kansas City is really good against the run.
I assume Cleveland's good.
Yeah. Wide receiver. They faced the 28th.
Okay, so it's been an easy slate.
No, it's been difficult.
Okay, the other way around.
Going the other way. If you're 32, that's the worst.
Surtain and Sauce.
Yeah.
And good pass rushes and
Yeah. So
they've
faced the 5th toughest slate of defenses for wide receivers.
Wide receiver production.
Moving forward, 4th easiest.
Gotcha. Okay.
So your quarterback situation is the 4th best. Your wide receiver situation is the 4th best. You traded for a wide receiver.
Yeah. Made a quarterback change. Right.
And made a quarterback change. And finally, tight end.
Tight end's the one I trust the least in the fantasy world.
That one's a little volatile. Who did you play?
Yeah. Or how'd they choose to defend you? But if you're 25 or lower or top 6,
you're probably pretty bad.
Right,
yeah. They're 18th thus far this season. They're 18th moving forward.
Okay, even
so it's kind of middle of the pack. But the quarterback wide receiver stuff, that's real.
That's very, very real. Yep. So some of this is bad news, but EPA and DVOA do these things too. And the Steelers' defense has faced one of the easiest slates of offenses to this point, and that's about to change drastically. So, like, if you're like, Steelers defense is overrated, you got a little bit of a point there. You know, that who they played versus what they're about to see. I mean, Baltimore twice, Washington's brutal, Kansas City. And then the other thing is kind of to back up Clay, it's sort of the opposite is true in terms of the defenses they're facing get easier than what they've faced. You know what I mean? Their offenses they faced are about to get a lot harder. The defenses they faced get easier in the second half of the season.
Yeah, really, I think the best defense that they'll face the rest of this season is Kansas City.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily think about the Chiefs that way, but that's true.
This is so weird to say, but maybe every team on the schedule except the Browns are better on offense than defense, including the Chiefs. Well, maybe not the Chiefs. Chiefs are better on defense.
Yeah, they're better on defense. Yeah.
Cincy's way better.
Yeah.
Baltimore's way better. Washington's way better.
Yeah, these are not your father's Ravens.
No.
This game, like, watch them tomorrow night when they play the Bengals tomorrow night. Defensively, they're kind of a mess.
I know that the Steelers don't do everything to beat the Ravens, but we even talked about, like, Wiggins. They got Tre'Davious White. They're not big physical corners either, and you're going to trot out Pickens and Williams against those guys.
Even Van Jefferson's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
You could put it.
I bet that's not a Calvin Austin.
You could put you could put three receivers on the field who are going to have at least a 2 or 3 inch height advantage on every one of the Ravens cornerbacks.
And 30 pounds.
And Marlon Humphrey's not a little corner.
No, he's a sizable one. But
Yeah.
Wiggins is light. You know, the Tre'Davious White trade's strange, but he's not big. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know how much he'll even play.
Yeah, he's 5'10".
Mm-hmm. He's smaller.
Yeah, so just something to keep an eye on here. We haven't seen many shootout type games from the Steelers yet this year, but they're coming.
Oh, they're coming.
They're going to have to score some points.
I think every Bengals game is going to be a shootout game that they play. So you got to keep up with Burrow.
So you're saying to play the over tomorrow?
I really am. But I hate that for a Thursday night.
I know.
It's
but
so
two
brutal.
teams that know each other well.
Yeah.
That kind of plays into that as well.
I think Burrow lights them up.
Oh, was it last year that Burrow threw for like 500 yards against them?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that offense is a juggernaut in Baltimore, and since he's not going to offer much resistance, and I think Burrow's going to have a monster game.
Yeah. So keep that in mind when you're looking at the
9-6
Steelers schedule and things moving forward. Baltimore, on the other hand, since they're the team that the Steelers have to catch here, they faced the 15th easiest schedule thus far. Theirs goes to 23rd the rest of the way. So it starts to get a little more difficult for Lamar from here on out.
Okay.
Running backs. Well,
They've been running rampant over everybody.
They faced the 27th. This is just against running backs.
Okay,
yeah.
Not running game.
27th hardest slate.
So it's been easy.
Actually, no, we're getting that backwards. I'm getting it backwards. 27th easiest or most difficult.
So it's a hard one.
They faced a hard one. Theirs is 31st the rest of the way.
Even harder.
Even harder.
Huh. Oh, Steelers twice.
Yeah. Wide receiver. They faced the 24th most difficult.
Okay.
So it's been
pretty difficult.
It's been pretty difficult. It's 26th, so things get
Similar.
Difficult, a little more difficult.
A little more difficult.
And then offensively, tight ends, 15th, it falls to 26th the rest of the way. So everything offensively that Baltimore has done gets more difficult the rest of the way.
I'm sure a lot of that's Steelers twice.
Steelers twice. You got the Browns again.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns already beat them once.
I don't know their schedule off the top of my head, but
yeah, I don't
know they're the out of.
They still got a game against Houston. Houston's got a good defense.
Okay, I was trying to think of.
They play the Chargers as well. So
that's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
They already have the Chiefs.
So they play some difficult defenses down the stretch. And the thing is, Baltimore's defense is not good. They stop the run.
They stop the run.
They can't stop the pass.
Right. Everyone's gonna throw. Yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah. So just keep an eye on that. We're gonna get to another break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. When we come back, I had an opportunity, as I mentioned earlier, to talk to the new players this week.
Williams, yeah.
Let's hear what they had to say when we come back. How about that?
I like it.
Welcome back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and this is The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. And Matt, we've spent quite a bit today, a bit of time today, talking about the newest Steelers additions.
Mm-hmm.
Got a chance to talk to them both today.
That's cool.
And they're both big dudes, as you mentioned, and
big for their positions. You know,
yeah,
there are a lot of big dudes running around that neighborhood.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm used to seeing big guys, but
is he bigger than Pickens? I bet he weighs more.
They're in that same.
I bet.
Yeah,
it's a twin
similar.
towers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it adds a different dynamic to the Steelers' offense. But he's an interesting guy. Got a chance to talk to him, as I mentioned, and let's hear what he said. This usually when I do these are just me, but this is a group setting here, so let's hear what
popular.
let's see what Mike Williams had to say.
Mike, what was your reaction when you got the news yesterday that you were being traded and playing for Japan?
I was asleep. I was feeling like my phone vibrated, but I thought I was dreaming. It was like 5 missed calls from my agent, and then the GM from the Jets called me and he told me about the trade. So excited for the opportunity. Happy to be here. Looking forward to it, and ready to get this thing rolling.
How much do you know about Russ, and how do you feel like your skill set fits what he does?
Russ. Everybody see it. He put the work in. Time in, time out. A leader on and off the field. So just very thankful to have a guy like that. Quarterback of this team, a leader, who put us in the right positions to be successful.
Along those same lines, what excites you the most about being part of this offense and the goals that it wants to accomplish?
Oh, it's exciting. It starts, up front, the running game, and then everybody sees the plays that the receivers make. JP going out there making big time plays every game. So, adding me just add, another threat, another guy who can go out there and make plays. So I'm looking forward to it.
What's your understanding what your role is going to be and how much playing time you might see?
We ain't really talk about that yet. Right now, I had a pretty good day-to-day. Been in quite a bit, so keep building the rest of the week and see where we at on Sunday.
Mike, how close were you in the spring? Were the Steelers on your radar in free agency, and to what extent?
Oh yeah. I actually had a meeting scheduled here, but Jets was the first meeting, and I didn't leave the building, so that's how that went. But yeah, I'm here now, and I'm excited about it.
Mike, do you view this as an opportunity to get more looks, more catches?
For sure. Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I'm a playmaker. I want to make plays. I want to, get the ops that, but, I'm going to go out here, work, and show that I deserve to, be on the field.
Mike, if this is a dream, is New York a nightmare?
Did you anticipate being moved at the trade deadline?
For me, it was kind of, be where your feet are. My main focus was there at the time. Obviously, it was, you see the media, you see things, so it's kind of up in the air. But for me, my main focus was there because I was there. I don't really too much, get into that. I let my agent handle all that. But yeah, now we're here.
What was your time in New York like? How would you describe it?
It was cool. Obviously, going over there after ACL, not having OTAs, training camp, all that to get the chemistry right with Aaron and that. He real detailed, like what he liked. So I feel like me not, being able to go in there and transitioning as quick. Probably what went wrong.
You mentioned, you see things sometimes that come across in the media. You were aware how much your name was being talked about here in Pittsburgh when you came and played?
Oh yeah, that was crazy. When we played here, it was people in the stands telling me, "Don't go back, stay, don't take the plane back." But yeah, I thought that was funny.
Preston Smith just said he had no idea what the Steelers' record was when he got traded for him. I'm assuming you were more familiar.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we played here, and everybody, we making noise around the league. I'm part of the team now, so yeah, I'm excited to join these guys and be a positive intake on everything.
Mike, how's your health?
I'm good. I'm ready to go.
You all the way back?
Yeah, for sure. I don't really feel like I'm in nothing wrong. I'm ready to go out here and make plays.
How do you feel you and George Pickens will complement one
another? George a dog, man. Obviously, you can just put the ball up wherever for him, and he's going to make a play. He's quick out of his routes. Spectacular catches is amazing. So, yeah, just put me wherever, and I'm going to do my thing also.
Did you have a relationship with any of the guys on the team before you got here?
Nah. I done met people, but I wouldn't say a relationship as like I talk to them like once a week or, what I'm saying? But yeah, I know a lot of people. We all in the same business. So yeah, when we see each other, we say, "What's up? How you doing?" But I wouldn't say I had a close relationship. Played with Brandon Fehoko and with the Chargers. So when I saw him in the building, it was exciting. But yeah, I'm meeting everybody today. Everybody cool and looking forward to it.
Did you know Mike Tomlin at all? How did
you guys kind of interact for sure. We talked. I played the Steelers a few times, and we always interact with each other, talk to each other before or after the game or anything like that. But yeah.
As far as today's practice, where and how were they using you out here?
I was just moving around everywhere. Just for me, I just trying to learn as much as possible. You never know what can happen. Places, people move, things change. So I'm just learning all the positions.
Did they throw you right in with Russ and the ones?
Oh yeah. I got some reps with Russ also. Yeah.
How was that road back been from the ACL injury? Obviously, it's a.
It was a grind for sure. I mean, it's hard to really explain. I feel like you got to go through it, but it was a grind. Being able to, walk and then get surgery and not being able to walk for a little while, it was a little different. But the type of player I am, I like to put the work in. I put the work in to, be out here now.
How similar is the terminology and some of the systems of what you were used to, and what's the biggest roadblock?
Well, the formations and stuff the same. Coach Z came from the Jets, so he kind of brought the formations over here. So once I hear formation, you can kind of all the plays the same in the NFL realistically. So I can kind of process, eliminate, and play fast.
What's having two dogs on the field do for an offense?
A lot. A lot of big plays, a lot of opportunities for the offense, a lot of first downs, touchdowns.
In what ways does it open the rest of the team up?
Like we got a dog at running back, dogs at running back. That just opened up the pass game for us, in the second level. They want to double guys on the back end and help the run game. So it all just complements each other.
You mentioned some of that chemistry with Aaron. Are you concerned coming in the middle of the season, maybe not being up to speed yet with the chemistry with Russ?
Nah, I don't think so. I made some plays today, so from him. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting more reps in, up to the side with him, just getting that connection down, see the spots he like and where I like the ball at, so we can be on the same page.
Something Russ has always been known for is that real high, arcing deep ball. Is
yep.
that something you've seen and something you're
for sure
interested in going running under?
Hell yeah, because that's something I've been good at also in my career, was catching that deep ball and tracking the ball. So come down with a few of those, gain that trust in each other, and let's connect on a lot of those.
That was new Steelers wide receiver Mike Williams with the assembled media after practice today. And as you heard him say there, got worked in with the ones a little bit today, get some time in with Russell Wilson in the group, and see where that goes.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see what he brings to the table. We talked about this before, after he got traded. Last we saw him in the Charger uniform was really impressive.
Really good. Really good.
Much better than he's been in his Jet. So it's still probably in him,
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see where that goes. But, Matt, that's going to do it for the show today.
Good stuff. Yep,
absolutely. We'll be back again tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat station. For my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site, running the Justin Miller hotline. For Tyler Vittmeyer here, keeping us on the YouTube videos, I am Dale Lolley. We thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.